Okay, so everyone, thank you for joining us today for today's webinar. Could you guys see my screen? Brenda, if you can just confirm that you can see everything. Okay, perfect. My name is Wade Huber. I'm a senior sales consultant for Life, LTC, and DI at IFC National Marketing. There's my contact info. I have on the phone with me on the call today, Brenda Douglas, who's the VP of Sales for Life, LTC, and DI. Say hi, Brenda.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to keep this relatively short. I think it had carved out for an hour, but it's probably going to be more like half an hour. I just wanted to kind of go through our website, show you guys some changes that have been made. We've been going through some transitions lately. Some of you maybe have been on our site and have had a difficult time finding, well, where do I run quotes and how do I submit apps and all that stuff? So I want to show you that the process has been modified. It is simpler, it is easier. And I'm just going to go through a quick tutorial on where you can do that. We can submit applications as well as some other tools we have available. So with that, we're going to get started here. And I'm going to share our website. Brenda, all good to go, right? You can see that, hopefully? Good deal. So our website, and I'm sure many of you have been on here before, but if you haven't, or if you have, as a reminder, it's ifcnationalmarketing.com. Now, when you go there, if you're a first-time, attender on our website, make sure you register on the upper right-hand corner. You're going to see register. It's going to say under Agent Porter Register here, portal. And then I will get email, or shoot me an email on that to remind me, because it's going to go to Patty Quarles, but Patty may not see it right away. If you send it to me and let me know, give me a heads up, I will let her know. We'll give you immediate access. And so then once you're on our site, everything on the Life side can be seen here under product lines, and it will say Life, LTC, and DI. So just click on that. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer as of right now, it's really all life insurance. So we're going to be adding some long-term care and DI information soon, but everything you need for your life insurance needs can be found here. So we've made it, the biggest thing is we made it much more simple. The upper portion, the majority of what you're going to be using is going to be these three tabs right here, right on top. So if you want to run an illustration and submit application, you can click on here and do that. If you want to just go right to the online application, you can click on here and do that. We also have a third option here where you can check the status of your business. So this is a nice feature where if you have submitted applications and you wanted to find out the status, other outstanding requirements, where we at in the process, click on that. You can see not only your business that you've submitted per carrier, but also if you have a downline, you can see their business as well too. So in order to register for that, just down here, it says sign up for Smart Office. You're going to want to click on that, but that will give you access to your cases. So we're going to get started with just quoting and submission. You can either click here, like I said, on top, or here below where it says quoting and pre-application tools. So we're going to click here and get started. And I'm just going to show you just kind of a quick overview of a case. You probably have seen the platform before. This is called iPipeline. This is kind of a more or less universal platform a lot of carriers use. It is really quick and easy to use. I'm just going to put valued client, and I'll put this individual, July 1975. So he's 48 years old. Put male, keep it in the state of Minnesota. You can change state here, obviously, as well. Now, you can choose from the drop-down term, and it gives you a lot of different options here. You can do current assumption, index UL, IUL protection, et cetera. The only ones really you're going to be needing to use this for all intents and purposes, is term insurance and then the guaranteed universal life. What a guaranteed universal life is, for those who aren't aware, is think of it as like an extended term. So you have coverage for however long of a guarantee you want. You can extend this out 85, go all the way out to age 121. For today's purposes, I'm just going to keep it on term insurance for clarity and for simplicity. We can choose different term lengths. You can choose as many as you want, really. For today's purposes, I'll just put in 20 years and 30 years. And you can choose 3 different death benefits at one time as well to do comparisons. So I'll show 250,000, 500,000, and $1 million. And then below here, there's a rider section as well. You can add these just to kind of give you an overview. Accidental death benefit would be if there's death that arises from an accident, basically doubles a death benefit. Waiver premium would be waiver in case of a disability. There's a return of premium. There used to be a good chunk of carriers that were in this business. Right now, we got whittled down to like 5 and then 4, 3, it kept dropping. It got really hard for carriers to be able to manage that because obviously at the end of the term, the client survives the term, they're going to get their money back. So it's kind of hard to be able to gauge that actuarially. So the one carrier we have, which Brenda actually used to work for, is Cincinnati Life. And they're great in that market. So if you do run into a case where a client wants that option, that is available. And then we have the child rider feature as well too. How child rider units work is it's $1,000 per unit. So it goes 1 all the way down to 50. So 50 would be 50,000, obviously. So if we chose 10,000, it would be $10,000 of coverage for each child. So in it, depending on the client, typically speaking, it's not that expensive. So that maybe is something you guys want to consider using, depending on the client and their situation as well too. For today's purposes, we're not going to include any riders. Now, when you run the illustration, you could come on and say, hey, look, I met with a client. Oftentimes is the case, you don't know their health, right? And that's the biggest part, which I'm going to get into in a little bit here. I think it's a good idea to find out, do some field underwriting on the front end to kind of find out, what kind of health is your client in? Do they have any physical ailments? Are they taking medications, et cetera? But if you don't know, you're just kind of coming in cold, so to speak. You click on health class, you can choose for non-tobacco, you have standard all the way up to preferred best. And then for tobacco, you have standard and preferred tobacco. But let's say you do have some information. This software does allow you to input that. So if you know their height and weight, for example, you have an individual, let's say this guy's 5'10", he's 200, let's just put 230 pounds. And hasn't used tobacco. You can go right to quick get quotes, and it's going to spit out some proposals based on that info. You can also add health details if you know more information. So this is a cool feature. It allows you to put in health conditions, family history, and driving violations. If you click on continue, as you can see here on the left-hand side, it's going to take you right down the list here. Click on next, no tobacco products, and it's going to go through blood pressure, cholesterol, et cetera. Same thing for family history and driving violations. So a lot of useful information there. It's going to pull everything together, and it's going to show comparisons based on that information. And then when you're done, again, just click on get quotes, and it's going to show that. But again, for today's purposes, we're going to keep it simpler. We're just going to go, we don't know a lot of information about this individual. I'm a huge believer in, under promising and over delivering versus over promising and under delivering. You guys might have experienced this before in the past. You think a client's going to come back, preferred best, and they come back table H or something like that. So I think it's good to start out with, just a standard non-tobacco if you don't know for sure. And then from there, you just click on get quotes, and it's going to show you all the comparisons with all of our carriers. So this is a nice tool. It lays it out pretty, it's easy to read. You can, on the top here, show it by annual premium. You can go semi-annual, quarterly, or monthly. I typically like to show monthly, especially for term insurance, just because, clients want to save a little bit of money. The nice thing about term insurance, for those who may not be aware, is with term insurance, most carriers allow you to convert that to a permanent policy. So if a client gets coverage, they get approved, let's say they're approved at preferred best, they can convert that to a permanent policy at preferred best without having to go through underwriting. So let's say a client buys a term policy, he's 50 years old, 5 years later, he's had some health issues, maybe he wouldn't get approved at preferred plus. He converts it to a permanent policy. He maintains the preferred plus health class at age 55. So that's something huge to consider, and I'll talk about that a little bit as we get into this a little bit. But here you can see the carriers. If you click on the product name, it's going to show a little description there for you. I mentioned convertibility. It's going to show you, is it convertible, for how long, what it can be converted to, et cetera, and it'll show you for each carrier. If you click on view details, it's going to give you more information than that as well, too, as far as specific product information. And I'll show you, I'm going to touch base on that a little bit later here as well, too. There's one thing here, too, at the bottom of each, the name of each product, you're going to see where it says accelerated underwriting eligible. So this is a nice feature. More and more carriers now allow, provided the client is healthy enough when they go through the health question portion of the application. If they're healthy enough, they may qualify where they don't even need to do a paramed. So no exam, no blood, no urine, no height, weight, no build, any of that. So it's a really quick process, potentially, provided they're healthy enough. So if that's important to you, these carriers, again, most of them do allow that. It will specify that as well, too. So you could go right down the list here and say, okay, I'm just going to go least expensive to most expensive. I typically wouldn't recommend that. The reason being, going back to the conversion statement I mentioned before, when looking at products, I always factor in, is it convertible? For how long? Are the products that it can be converted to competitive? Maybe some of you want to jot this down, but here are some carriers that I like for term insurance that are also convertible. Pacific Life has great conversion options and great products to convert to. They actually have one specifically for conversion that's competitively priced. North American is great. Protective, specifically the custom choice. Now it says custom choice UL. It's actually a term. It's kind of a nuanced product. It's a term insurance on a UL chassis, actually. And then there's Securian, but specifically with the ECA rider, it stands for Extended Conversion Agreement. Now, obviously, as you go down here, you see a difference in premiums. But as you look here, okay, we went with Pac Life, $57 a month. If you look at we're only off by 69 cents compared to the top one. Corebridge is still a good carrier, but if you're looking at the full picture, I like to factor in that convertibility as well too. And so I'll just do the same thing down here as we scroll down for 500,000. Same carriers. I'm just going to show you kind of the layout, how it works here when you're clicking on some of these. Securian, and I think I don't know to include Protective. Here we go, Protective. And then we'll do that for $1 million as well too, Pacific Life. American. And as you're going to see here, it's pretty easy to read. There's different ways you can show it. So the ones you click on are going to be the ones that pop up when you're showing it to your clients. As you click on the top here, it'll say download. And you can show a list report, comparison ledger, detail report. It's just a different way of looking at the data. I like the list report personally because it's a little bit easier to read. It reads from left to right, horizontally. So it just makes more sense, and it's a little bit more condensed that way. When you look at it, it's just going to show, here's the product. Here's the carrier name, AM Best ratings. As you can see, all of our carriers, these are all A+ rated carriers, by the way. And all of our carriers are A or better. Age of the client, standard non-tobacco, and here it shows the rates. Now, let's say the client looks at this and says, you know what, that's great. We're looking at a 20-year term, $1 million. Pacific Life, $200 a month, that's pretty good, right? Let's go with that option. Well, you can actually apply from our website. So as you scroll down here, you're going to see, here we go to $20 million, Pac Life, and you can click right here and go through the process. Now, as you click here, you're going to see a couple options. Click on apply, and you're going to see a drop ticket and paper forms. Paper forms is just a paper app, but as some of you may have experienced, I recommend not going to the paper application. Paper apps, I've seen some that are 30, 40, 50 pages. It can be a little cumbersome. As I'm sure Brenda, she's shaking her head, she can attest to this as well. Brenda actually owned her own agency a while back, and maybe Brenda, if you want to speak a little bit to that as far as the importance of saving time and the back and forth with the carrier, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, first of all, you're going to save on average 5 business days of underwriting time if you do a drop ticket versus a paper app. And you're going to make, which means that the carrier doesn't have to come back to you and say, hey, this was missing, this was wrong, couldn't read that. So I highly recommend the drop ticket. Because again, you're eliminating some of the mistakes that are very typical to make. If you are a salesperson like me, details aren't always the things that you look at. So anything that you can dummy proof when I was directly selling was helpful to me. So keep it simple for yourself. Go to a drop ticket. That also gives you access to everything that's going on immediately, because they're instantly going to have the application. So it's a quicker process. And I think you're going to find it a simplistic process. So,
thank you, Brenda. Yeah, absolutely. And there's one thing I wanted to mention as well. So some carriers have, like Corebridge is a good example. For those who are not aware, Corebridge is actually, it's AIG. It's the same company. If you click on apply, they have 3 options. So they have an e-application, a drop ticket, and a paper app. Brenda mentioned the drop ticket. That's a really quick process. Basically, all you do is you're putting in basic client information. There's going to be some information you're going to need. So like, for example, their social security number, did they have life insurance previously, with what carriers, and also some beneficiary information. But you can literally call the client on the phone, get the information, talk to them on the phone. It takes 15 minutes to go through, really quick and easy. An e-application is a little bit different. It's still online, but it's a little bit longer. So it's going to be more closer to a paper application in terms of length. Still better, preferable, I would say, than a paper app. But there's going to be a little bit more back and forth. And in most cases, you know, you complete the application and then it goes to the client, where the client gets an email, they do their portion, it goes back to the agent, and then you submit it, it goes back to the carrier. With a drop ticket, you cut out that middle process. Literally, you complete the very basic information, it goes to the carrier, they contact the client and do a phone interview to get all the information. So it's a lot quicker. Every carrier, there's a little bit of nuance with some carriers. They allow the client to, they'll get an email as well, where they can answer health questions via email, or they can do the phone interview. So, but in general, the drop ticket is the way to go. So highly recommended there. So that's really it as far as running the proposal. Now, you can save your illustrations up here where it says save quote, and you can actually go back to them as well too under my quotes, and it'll show what you ran in case you need to go back to it. Now, let's say you show the client, this is oftentimes the case, right? You show the client, hey, here are the proposals, here's the information, and the client will say, well, this is great. Let me put a little bit of thought into it. I'll consult with, you know, my kids, I'll consult with my wife, etc. We'll have a conversation, I'll get back to you. So now some time will go by and they get back to you and say, you know what, I like that. I do want to go with the $1 million 20-year term with Pacific Life. Well, as mentioned here, you know, you can apply right from the quoting software, but you don't have to open up the quoting software and go right to it. From our main life insurance page, as I mentioned early on, you can go right here on the top to iGo Online Application. It's also listed here under Application and Post Application Tools, iGo Online, but just click on that. And I'm just going to show you, I'm not going to go through, you know, the full application, but I'll just show you in sort of 10,000 foot overview, you know, the simplicity that we're talking about here in terms of, you know, what to experience. These are referred to as iGo apps. If you hear that, the acronym, it stands for in good order. And as Brentia mentioned, it's going to ensure that there's not a lot of back and forth. Literally, the application can't be submitted unless everything's in good order. So all you're going to do is click on Start New Case, and you're going to put in the very basic client information. And you're going to put in the age of the client or date of birth. You're going to put in the state and the product type. And here, under here, you're going to put term. And you click on Find Available Products. And down here, you scroll, you're going to see Pacific Life. PL Promise is the name of the product. You just click on Select. And this is going to get you started on the drop ticket process. And just to kind of give you an idea, so it's going to populate what you put in there. This is just sort of a validation page letting you know, hey, this is going to be sent in good order, kind of what to expect. It's going to be a quick process, and the carrier may contact the client for the health information. When you go through this, yes, go ahead.
So we did have regards to rating. If we submit an application with a rating, let's say the rating was standard that we submitted with you as the agent, and we help you submit that. When the carrier gets that, they're going to do their underwriting process. So if they qualify for preferred, that's what the carrier is going to give them. So it doesn't really matter what we or you. So even if you gave them preferred plus and they only qualify for standard, they're going to get standard, or the reverse. You apply for standard and they qualify for preferred plus, they will give them that. So this is, again, is just an estimation of just a quote when you're sending it through, and then they do their due diligence and they'll give them the best rate that they qualify for. So you don't have to worry about, I put in standard, but oh, what if they were better and the underwriter only gives them standard? They will do their due diligence and make sure they get the right rating.
Yeah, that's a great point and great question. And yeah, you're not beholden. They're not beholden to, well, you said, so which is a good thing. So they realize that it's just an estimate. I'm going to talk on a little bit here about, you know, doing some field underwriting on the front end to make sure that we can try to get as close as we possibly can to, you know, an accurate depiction of their health status. And so once we know that, because oftentimes we'll do pre-risk assessments where we check with carriers and they'll get back to us and kind of whittle it down. I'll talk about that a little bit here too. But yeah, no, great question. Thank you for that. And again, any questions you guys have during this process, pop them in the chat box, and Brenda, just, you know, yell at me, get my attention, wave your arms, whatever. And we'll, and I'll try to maybe slow down a little bit too. I don't want to go, there you go, that'll work. So as we're going through the section here, this is it. I mean, everything here on the left-hand side is what you have to go through to submit the application. Really quick and easy. It's going to ask for a social security number, like I said, their occupation, their address, who's the payer, right? I mean, super basic info. I mean, look at the payer. Boom, no, it's the same. Payer is going to be the insured. Yes, boom, next one. Just keep going. Policy information. Do they have existing policies? So you're going to want some information on that in terms of who it's with, the amount of coverage, etc. Beneficiary information. We're not going to go through all of this, but as you can see, it's literally a list of like 7 tabs. At the very bottom, it's going to ask you for some information yourself as the agent, and then you're going to hit submit, and it goes to the carrier. And again, they do the rest. 10, 15 minutes, they're going to contact the client. So super easy to do. Let us know if you have any questions on that. Again, you can click on it here or here on our website, IGO Online Application. So that's really the main part you're going to be really paying attention to on our site are those 2 things. But there's a few other things here I wanted to bring to your attention that I do recommend when you're meeting with your clients. What I just showed you here is obviously an estimate, right? We don't know how this person's going to be, right? We don't know how much coverage they need, maybe. In some cases, you guys might have clients that come in and say, hey, Mr. Agent, I want, $25,000 of a 5-year term, or whatever the case may be. Well, maybe they need a lot more coverage. Maybe they may come in highballing it. Maybe they need less coverage. Maybe they need a permanent policy. So there is a tool here called, our fact finder. And I'm going to include this as a follow-up to all attendees when I send them out. What I recommend is using this when you're talking to your clients. And it's just a 1-page, really simple sheet. This isn't like super complicated, Monte Carlo software or anything like that. All it's doing is taking 2 components to factor in someone's need, the amount of life insurance they need. One is your basic needs calculation on the left-hand side. Okay, what this does is it takes into account how much debt do you have? So basically it's enough to cover their debt. And then what it does is it factors in, well, how much life insurance do you have? You're going to subtract the amount of other resources as well that you have, including life insurance from the debt. That's going to give you the total amount of coverage that's your gap, right? That's the amount you need to cover your debts. On the right-hand side, this is the human life value calculation, which basically means, hey, we're going to take a look at your earning potential. What are you making? Because covering debt is one thing, but what about living? What about, living beyond that to be able to just meet your basic needs, basically. So this takes into account your annual income, years to retirement. Again, how much resources do you have? How much life insurance do you have? What are the resources you have? You subtract it from it. This is going to give you a higher value, right? So we want to aim for this amount because you're taking into account their actual, living needs, but we want to at least cover this amount, which is their basic needs based on debt. So I call it setting the goalposts. So maybe I think this is one thing you guys want to incorporate. I'll send it over to you guys. Another thing is our health questionnaire forms, which is listed right here on our site. And, again, when the client meets with you, sometimes you don't know. They come in and say, hey, I'm super duper preferred, triathlete or whatever. Or maybe you assume they are, and you don't know that there's any outstanding issues. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. But the only way to know is to ask some questions. And it's not about being intrusive. It's really about saving time and the headache for the client, making it easier for them. So we literally have health questionnaire forms for, arthritis, aviation, go down the list, breast cancer, depression, etc. Let's say you don't know, but you just want to kind of start out broad-based and kind of, winnow it down a little bit. We have a general use questionnaire form, and I'll include this as well on the email I send out. Broad overview of, hey, do you have any, physical conditions? Are you taking any medications, dosages, etc.? It's just a 1-page form. And it, what's the impairment? Has there been treatments, etc.? I think dates are important, and medication and doses, and then any other health issues you can include. So these 2 things, the fact finder and the general use questionnaire form, incorporate those with every time you're talking to your client, you're having a conversation, quick and easy to use. It's going to help save the client time and save the client headaches potentially if they come back other than applied for. Another thing I was going to mention here is this, you guys might want to use this, is we have a life illustration request form, and I'll include this as well. So these are the 3 attachments I'll include on the follow-up email. And what this basically is just gathering their information. Okay, we know, how much coverage they want. We have a general idea in terms of maybe of their health. what are we looking for? So this is for your purposes. You can complete this and save it for yourself. If you want to run an illustration, it's just their name. Do they want permanent or term? If term, how long? Some general health questions, their build, and then other health conditions here. Now you can save this and email it to me and just say, hey, Wade, here's a life insurance request. Can you run some proposals for me? I'm happy to do it. You guys want to run it yourself? You can do that as well too. Remember, one thing about this is giving you guys an option. I don't want you guys to feel like this is a deflection. By no means is it. This is just an opportunity for you guys to be able to, have an option to run proposals. If you're meeting with a client, you want to run something, there's a time crunch or whatever the case may be. So these are tools you guys can use, but always let me or Brendan know if you guys are working on cases. We can help you with that stuff. And then that's basically for all intents and purposes, the majority of what you'll be using. There's one feature, if you guys want to look at product information, if you click on product search, this is going to show you just basic product information. You can actually choose it per carrier. It's going to list all the products, just as an example. So, if we click on Cincinnati Life, their term setter 10, it's going to show some of the features. They have underwriting guidelines up here in terms of, qualifying for preferred plus, preferred or standard plus. There's build charts, and then underwriting requirements as well, as far as like, paramed and things like that. So that's the tool you guys might want to check out also under product search. That's really it. If you guys do want a paper app, if you click on forms, download and print, you can get paper apps here. Again, I recommend going the iGo drop ticket route if given the option. Right here, the only other thing I was going to mention is under training and webinars. If you click on this, you will see a listing of current webinars to come. So, future ones, this one probably today's is still listed. And obviously you won't need that one, but then also as far as recorded webinars, you'll see that as well too under Life, LTC, and DI. So you click on one of these, you can view that. Scrolling down the page, our contact information is here. By the way, your case managers, Jenny Turberville and Jenna DeLong. Depending on, it kind of falls in last name. I think I can't remember exactly, maybe Brenda, well,
I hope you're going to ask.
Yeah, because it does change on occasion. Yeah, it does. Depending on your last names, you'll fall within one of these two case managers. They do a great job. Andy Wade is a concierge specialist. So if you guys are working on cases where it's like, I don't have the time, or maybe I don't feel comfortable with this, or maybe you feel it's a little bit over your head, you can contact Andy here by just clicking here. You'll send him an email and say, hey, can you help me with the case? Again, getting appointed, you want to click here, you can get request to get appointed. This will go to me for running proposals, and then if you have questions regarding underwriting, it'll go to the underwriting team. We have a list of carriers here. You can go to the carriers. Oh, go ahead, Brenda.
Go up to the appointment. Just as an FYI, on the life side, you don't have to get appointed with carriers until you have an application in hand. So you don't have to worry about, I can't write with this carrier because I don't have a contract. It's just in time for life insurance for most states. There's only, I think, 2 states that don't allow that, Pennsylvania being one. So if you have a case, it doesn't matter what the carrier is. If we can illustrate it and you like that carrier, we'll get you appointed. So we can have application and your appointment paperwork at the same time. So don't worry about which carrier is the best or not, which carrier you're appointed with. We'll get you with the best carrier when you need it.
Yeah, and then when it comes time, this is a great point, Brenda. Thank you for mentioning that. And when it comes time to submit, when you do that, again, you don't have to wait to get a writing number. You can just go through the application process, get you set up with that carrier. At the very bottom of the page here, we do have, they're referred to as toolboxes or toolkits with a few of our simplified issue carriers. I'm not going to go through this, but just know they are available. If you're looking at a situation where you want simplified issue, maybe a smaller death benefit, $10,000, $15,000 death benefit, these are available as well. Other than that, I was going to mention on the top of the page here for news and media, if you click on newsletter, I highly recommend, if you haven't subscribed yet, to do so. This is going to give you kind of the what's going on from week to week. Every week you're going to get an email with our updated newsletter. At the bottom here is an archive, so you can actually look to see our most recent newsletters as well too. So make sure you do that under news and media, click on newsletter, And then over here under resources, this is something that we just added recently. There's swag and more store. So this is pretty cool. You can actually order swag, and you can, if you guys have a logo you guys want to use yourself or your company, you can order swag, upload your logo, and have it on whatever apparel you want to choose. Now, oftentimes, if an agent submits business, what we typically do is we'll give you guys a coupon to use where you can go in and order it yourself. It's on IFC. We'll pay for it. So that's coupon code. If you click on that, let's say you did that and maybe you want to order some more materials. If you click on credit card, you click on here, it's going to show you listing of what you guys can choose on from the apparel. As I mentioned, you can do co-branding. As an example, you click on co-branding, you can see a lot of cool things you can choose from, everything from pullovers, sweat jackets, t-shirts, etc. And again, you guys can co-brand this stuff if you want to. Also, another thing I wanted to mention on this is a really cool addition. Under print shop, if you click here, you guys can order your own business cards. So it shows IFC right now, but if you guys have a logo, upload that. We can get that ready for you. And under here where it says direct mail postcards, you can actually send out direct mail to your clients. Here, for example, it shows final expense postcard. You can upload your logo, your contact info, and then you can order however many you want to send out to your clients as well too. You would upload also addresses, mailing addresses for your clients for us to be able to send those out. So that's basically it to go over our website. I want to keep it shorter, went a little bit over half an hour, but for all intents and purposes, what I covered is probably the majority of what you'd be using on the life insurance portion of the site, at least so far. As mentioned, we'll probably be adding some more info for long-term care and DI going forward as well too. Looks like, well, Brenda, are there any questions anyone has right now that haven't been addressed?
Nope, don't see any more questions.
Okay, I think we're good for today. You guys, thank you for popping on. Awesome to help you guys out. As I'm going to stress as well again, you guys have a case, I mean, contact Brenda, contact myself. We're happy to help you out. We can run the proposals for you. This is just giving you guys another option to be able to run them. Again, you guys are in a pinch. You want to be able to have access. And again, at some point, I highly recommend getting comfortable with doing those drop tickets. It's going to save a lot of time, a lot of hassle for you guys going forward as well too. So let us know if there's any cases you're working on, any questions you have. I'm going to leave our contact information up here again as well. Give us a call if you need anything. We're always happy to help you guys out. Thanks again for joining us today, and you guys have a great day and take care.
Thanks, everyone.